Hi, I'm Connor Stanhope. I play Danny in My Life with the Walter Boys, and you're watching Pop Culture with Pat.
Hey guys, welcome back to Pop Culture with Pat. So I'm so excited for today's episode. Today we are talking all things My Life with the Walter Boys with Danny himself. Connor, thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you're very welcome, man. So, and just a heads up, guys, we're probably going to get into some spoilers here with the interview. So I just want to give you a heads up if, you haven't watched the whole show, but if you haven't watched the whole show, what are you doing? Make sure you get on that. It's on Netflix right now. But just to start things off, Connor, for you, you played Danny in the show. When you first got cast as the character, you were reading the scripts. What were just kind of like your initial thoughts of Danny?
Initial thoughts of Danny. I mean, when I first read it and read the character breakdown, I was just like, oh, this character seems fairly similar to me, kind of like how we interact with people in our daily life, or just kind of how we perceive ourselves. So I think it was pretty nice getting something like that because it was a lot less acting and more just being like, okay, just say
Be
these
yourself.
lines exactly as I would say them.
That's
Um, so I think that was really nice. When that It's always nice when a role like that comes by and you're like, I mean, it's really fun to obviously play something that's not you and
yeah.
delving into stuff like that. But it's also pretty nice when you're like, oh, okay, this is gonna be somewhat chill. I already know this. This is
Yeah, you say that
perfect.
this is me. This is almost like my everyday life, other than maybe, some of the things that happen in
Yeah,
the show, but it's
exactly.
how I act, kind of normally.
Yeah, exactly.
I was actually going to ask you, like, in what ways did you think that like you're similar to Danny, but like what ways do you differ? Is there really any differences for you as far as the character goes?
Yeah, I think me and Danny are very similar. I mean, obviously we're both actors. There's
Which is
that,
cool.
but then also yeah, yeah. But then there's also I guess Danny's a little bit of a fly on the wall, kind of a little bit, and I kind of feel like that sometimes. I could be pretty quiet in group settings and just kind of listening rather than interacting as much.
Yeah, taking
Um,
everything in.
yeah, so I think that's kind of a similarity between us, and then also just I don't know, just yeah, the way that we interact with people. I try to be as thoughtful as possible when I'm talking to people, so, and I think that's a trait that we kind of share. But then for differences, I think yeah, me and Danny are very similar in the way that we navigate life, but we maybe have different interests. I'm really into photography and like art and video games, and he's really into watching old movies and stuff, and studying plays and stuff like that, which is cool. I love watching movies and studying them as well. I'm not so much into the play aspect of it. I haven't delved too far into that honestly yet. I had to look up some stuff while we were shooting, obviously, to try and get into that mindset. I need to do more of that though. I want to actually take a little deep dive into some stage stuff because I'm not too familiar with all that much of it.
Well, hey, you never know. I mean, maybe, season two, season three, maybe we'll start seeing Danny start picking up things like, photography and stuff like that, and you guys will
Yeah,
become
yeah,
even more alike.
yeah, yeah. That would be great actually. If it could all kind of mesh together a little bit more as well.
So yeah, Dan, like you mentioned, Danny, he loves acting, watching old movies and stuff like that. For you, I'm curious, who are some of your favorite actors that, maybe just like you look up to or inspired your career? And what are some of your favorite films?
I mean, I really like Michael Cera. He's a fantastic actor, and he's so funny as well. The way that he delivers stuff, and he also just has this really good delivery on lines. It feels really natural, and I love a lot of the roles that he's done. Like Superbad is one of my favorite movies. I mean, how could
Oh
you
yeah.
not? It's just a riot. That's pretty good. Who else do I look up to? I quite like Daniel Radcliffe. I
Oh
think
yeah.
he's done a lot of great work aside from even the Harry Potter stuff.
Yeah.
He's done a lot of fantastic roles over time, and he's so good as well. So I like them a lot. And then like movies I really like. Let's see, what are some good movies I really like? Yeah, well, I mean, I mentioned Super Bad. I also like this movie, Her, with Joaquin Phoenix.
Yep.
Um, that's a really good movie. What have I watched recently? Um, I like some anime stuff. I like Spirited Away. I don't
Yep.
know if you've
It's a
ever
good
heard of
one.
that. That's a
Yeah. Classic.
Yeah, that one's really good. Yeah, just stuff like that. I don't know. I feel like I have a big variety of movies that I like. Blanking on a lot of them right now.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, no, I'm definitely myself. Obviously, as a kid, I watched like animation, but there was like a period of time, like teenage years, where I kind of didn't watch it because I was like, oh, like animated stuff's for kids. Like, I'm not watching that. But as I've kind of gotten a little bit older, I've been like, what was I thinking? Now I'm getting like catching up on all these animated films. So I've really become like a big fan of that stuff over the last several years.
Yeah. I mean, there's
Um,
some great storytelling in them, and like also just like a lot of the hand drawn work in them as well, especially like in some of the older ones.
oh
It's
yeah.
like it's unbelievable.
It's incredible. Yeah, there's one, I don't know if you have heard of it, called Wolf Walkers. Came out a couple years
Oh,
ago. Blanking on the Cartoon Saloon, I believe, is like the company that like puts it out. They've done a couple other films, and the animation in that is gorgeous. Last year, Elemental, that was like one of my favorite films. But yeah, if you haven't seen that, I thought the story that they were telling too, a story of like immigration, but then just like how everything looked was like just beautiful. So,
okay. I think my girlfriend was talking about that at some point, so we're gonna have to watch that.
yep.
That'll be
Yeah, no.
good.
So, each of the Walter boys, they all kind of have like a distinct personality. For Danny, he's very understanding and caring. Where do you think that aspect of him kind of like came from? Was it his parents, someone else, or
Yeah, I think George and Catherine are good parents, and like maybe it was easy to parent all of them when it was just like not as many as there are now, obviously.
oh yeah.
More just kept getting added over the years with them. So I'm sure they had more time for like one-on-one stuff back in the day. But then also, I think Danny is a bit mature for his age, just because of he he's had a lot of time to like develop more within like the household and like as an adult, probably because he's always been in contrast with Cole a lot, and like Cole has always gotten like a lot of the attention for sure. Like I imagine when they were kids, they used to kind of like, I don't know, they were probably both played football when they were younger, and then like Cole just like kept doing it and was really good at it and kept getting like, I don't know, like scouted by people or whatever. He was always doing really good at the games. Um, so I don't know. I think Danny just was treated a lot differently growing up, even though they were twins. So I think that's probably a reason that it affected it a lot. And I think it probably also, he also gained a lot more of that maturity in the past couple of years, ever since what happened with Cole and his leg, and like him and Alex over the years fighting so much. I don't know. Danny's just a really chill guy. So I think he's just,
Kind of like the peacekeeper in a way of
yeah,
like the
yeah.
family.
Danny is definitely tries to be a peacekeeper for sure. He doesn't like to cause too much drama, and he feels pretty he seems to feel pretty bad whenever they get in trouble.
Yeah. Yeah, which hey, I mean staying out of the drama, I mean that's for me. I try personally, it's like I just try to like
Yeah,
stay
me
out of
too.
that stuff lay low. So it's like I can totally relate to Danny in that aspect. You have this huge family, the Walter boys and everyone else, in the house.
So many.
What was it like working with everyone? And just do you have any like stories that come to mind from you guys just like hanging out or stuff like in between, like on set?
Yeah, I mean, it it was fantastic. Like when I first got there, it was a little weird because like I hadn't been away from my family all that much, or like my partner. So, going out to Calgary by myself for a little while, I was like, oh, how is this going to be? Because I'm going to be out here for like 5, 6 months. Um, but then we all got together to do a table read. So we all got to like kind of meet each other that day and like talk a little bit. Um, so then we decided to like get everyone's numbers together in our phones so we could all like chat and stuff. And then we ended up going out to dinner either like the next night or a couple nights after the first table read, and just really get to know each other. And from there, it just like kept going up with like how much we were hanging out, how much we were finding out about each other, how much we all loved each other. And it developed really fast. And also the days on set were fantastic because it's like, I don't know, at a certain point, it just becomes like, this is your family, like literally.
Yeah.
And
I'll say like a second family for you.
yeah, definitely 100%. At times on set and off set were both fantastic. Um, some of the scenes that were really fun to film were like a lot of kitchen scenes, honestly, where we're all there and it's just chaotic and it's like a dance almost, and everyone's like twirling around each other, grab this, someone's knocking into each other doing this, people are cutting each other off while speaking and stuff like that. That stuff's always really fun. And there were some great times offset as well. Like we ended up wrapping one night at I think like 4 or 5 in the morning,
Jeez.
because it was the scene where we were shooting the bonfire, like
Oh, okay. Yep.
at the big like gravel pit area where like the initial thing happens.
Yeah.
So we ended up wrapping really late because it was just a long shoot. There was so much coverage, a lot of people to cover within those scenes, and then we were like racing against the sun rising. So then we had to call it quits at a certain point. And then we were all like, oh, what are we going to do? Like, it's so late. Are we just going to sleep all day tomorrow? Or are we just going to get no sleep? Because I think we had like the next day off or couple days off because it was such a late shoot.
Yeah. That's good at
But
least.
then we were like, nah, let's just stay up. So then we all just like stayed up, like went to this breakfast place. Everyone sat down there. We had some good food. And then we just like wandered around the city, just like delusionally tired for the next like 6, 7 hours or whatever. And then I think we all went to Noah's place and hung out for a little bit. And then, yeah, I don't know. I don't think I went to bed until like 12, and I was up for a stupid long time.
As I say, and then you guys probably paid for it like the following.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But I mean, yeah, something like that where you guys are just kind of like all together. I feel like you just have like the energy there. That just kind of just like keeps you going for.
Exactly. We were all drawing off of each other's like very little amounts of energy. But if you combine it all together, it's just enough.
Got you through. Yeah. And I know what you mean, man. Like not like an actor like doing any like full series or movies or things like that myself, but I've done like some extra work like here and there. So I know like even just like being like an extra like on set, like you can be there sometimes, 12, 14 hours. I'm sure like
Yeah.
probably even like longer. So long shoots, I've never done that late. I think like the latest that I've ever done was like 2 like in the morning we like wrap. So man, I can't
Okay.
can't
Yeah.
imagine like 4 or 5 o'clock in the
Oh
morning.
yeah. It was getting rough, and it was really cold out that day as well. It was super cold out that day, actually.
Yeah, and it's like and you guys a lot of times like I feel like when it's like cold, you guys have to pretend that it's not really that cold.
Yeah, exactly.
Show.
You're like in between scenes, like shivering to yourself, like barely able to talk, and then you're like starting. You're just like, okay, I gotta
Yeah,
like
it's a nice
relax.
summer evening, it's actually kind of warm outside.
Yeah.
Yeah, I imagine that's always like a challenge. It's like I don't know how you guys do it when it comes
No,
to.
you just have to take that like 2 minutes of suffering and pretending that you're not. and,
Yeah,
then
exactly.
and then as soon as I call cut, you're like, oh,
You're like, thank
I
God,
need
give
a
me like a
coat.
blanket or something now. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you talked about where Cole and Danny are twins. How did you and Noah want to approach that? Was that something like, did you guys talk at all about that relationship specifically before you were filming or anything? Or how did you kind of, go about that?
Yeah, before filming, me and him got together and like went and grabbed some dinner, and just kind of like talked about our characters and like about our characters like histories with each other, like how we grew up together and stuff, and just like different elements of our life. Not stuff that's like very much like written into the characters as far as like the script, but more stuff that we just came up with ourselves
Yeah,
as like backstory because it wasn't going to be showed anyways. It was just something for us to be able to kind of get into that mindset and have
exactly.
that relationship with each other. So we kind of talked about that for a little while. We both kind of had our own ideas on it a little bit, and we tried to mesh them together a little bit as well. Um, and then I think after that, we just like went back to my place as well and just continued to talk about it, and then also just like talk with each other about each other's pasts and stuff like that. Um, so that was good, really getting to like figure out that backstory just for ourselves, so it would hopefully translate a little bit more on
Onto the
camera.
screen. Yeah, exactly. I mean, it came across, the chemistry with you guys is great. So I think, whatever you guys were doing, working on that stuff behind the scenes, like it dedefinitely paid off, showing up
Yeah,
on
I
screen.
I love Noah so much. I miss him a lot. I haven't seen him in a while. I guess since I haven't seen him since we wrapped pretty much. After we wrapped, we went on like a little wrap trip. Like a bunch of us, and we rented out like a little Airbnb and stuff. And then after that, yeah, I haven't seen him since. Do we talk all the time? But
Yeah. I
I
was gonna
miss
say,
him
well,
dearly.
hopefully it won't be, with season two, around the
I
corner, like,
know
like when, because they have to, obviously if they have to write everything and stuff like that, but it's like, we'll be seeing you guys, soon enough, but it's cool that everyone
exactly.
kind of keeps in touch, in between, shooting and stuff as well.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah. I've been keeping in touch with a bunch of them. Like keep in touch with Noah a lot. Keep in touch with Miles a lot. Um, like play video games all the time. Um, trying to think. Yeah, I talk with Ashby and Corey, Jalen, Alisha. Yeah, we're all
The
chatting.
whole whole cast.
We have a big group chat as well where we all talk, and so it's nice.
I'm curious, for this. So in season one, we find out how football was taken away from Cole and how, that ended up affecting him, obviously, in a major way. Have you thought about if Danny didn't get into Juilliard, how that might have affected him? Do you think that Danny would have kind of went down the same path as kind of what happened with Cole? Granted, different situations, but do you think that would have been the case?
I think Danny had probably already kind of come to the idea in his head that it's not going to happen.
So prepare,
Because I
expecting
think
the
he's fair.
worst.
Yeah, I think Danny's fairly like self-deprecating. Like he really knows what he wants to do, but he's very unsure about whether he's going to be able to actually do that. And you know, I think that he was probably at the time thinking like, oh, this probably isn't going to happen. I don't know. I'll just work on the farm with George or whatever. Get a job in town, stuff like that. Yeah, I think it probably would have affected him emotionally, but maybe not in the same ways that Cole was affected by like the physical injury and being like, oh, I can't do this thing anymore that like I should be able to do.
Yeah.
Like I was doing it already and now I can't. Whereas Danny was like maybe thinking to himself, oh, maybe this is like just a pipe dream in my
Yeah.
head, like I love this, but maybe I'm not going to ever be that person.
Where Cole was
Um,
almost like, I don't know if I'd say like counting on it, but sort of like in a way, like he was kind of putting all his eggs like in that basket that was his
yeah,
his
exactly.
ticket, and to have that taken away. So yeah, I definitely see
Yeah.
what you're saying there.
Yeah, I think Danny could have done some other stuff if it didn't work out. Like I think he has pretty good grades. I think he does decent in school.
That's some options.
Whereas Cole was, like you said, yeah, he was kind of putting all of his eggs in the basket of like I'm going to be this football player, and that's what I got going for me. And then that was just swiped away from him like in a moment's notice.
Taken away. Yeah, no, for sure. I feel like again for like Danny too, I feel like it's like a pretty common, especially when you're starting out to have doubts if you can do something, with any field really. In this case, Danny has doubts about, the chances of being able to make it as an actor, but he ended up getting a huge boost of confidence when he's told that he's actually really good by people like Jackie. Did you ever have doubts when you were first starting out, and where or who did that boost of confidence come from?
Yeah, a lot, actually. I mean, I've been doing it for so many years. Like, I started acting when I was like 6. Um, so it's been like, like almost 20 years now that I've been doing it. And it's been ups and downs throughout the years and stuff. And when you're a kid, you don't really think about it too much.
Yeah.
You're just like auditioning and having fun and stuff. But then you start becoming a little bit more self aware of it at a
Yeah.
certain point. And then, yeah, there's been plenty of times throughout my career where I've been like, yeah, I don't know if this is going to be what I do. Like, cause like, I don't know, you audition a bunch, nothing happens, and sometimes
Yeah.
nothing happens for like a couple of years, or like, so you put all this effort into like doing these auditions, and then you try and just throw it away after that and just be like, okay, I did the audition, that's it.
Yeah.
If anything comes from it, great, but that was my part to do right there. But still, it can be pretty disappointing, especially if it's after a long period of time. So there's been times where I've definitely had really big doubts in it, but like, I don't know. I guess my parents have always been so supportive, and my mom's always been super supportive, and other people in my life. So I guess that's kind of a reason to keep it going. And
Yeah.
then, occasionally you'll work on something, and you'll be like, okay, maybe I can do this. You know.
Yeah.
Um,
Hey, I
but yeah,
mean,
I feel like it always goes up and down a little bit over the years. I am pretty like self-deprecating as well, so it's like I'll go from being like, yeah, I really love this, I can do this, I want to keep doing this, to being like, man, is this just not, it just ain't working.
yeah,
But
no, I
now it
mean,
feels like it's working all right, so that's great.
yeah, yeah, exactly. I was gonna say, yeah, I mean, congratulations on the success of My Life with the Walter Boys. The show obviously has been a huge success for Netflix. So I imagine, as an actor, having you always want, a project to connect with audiences, but when you have a project like this that connects with audiences on this level, it just must feel extra, special to have something like that come
I
out.
mean, I will admit it is a nice confidence booster. I mean, obviously I'm not the main thing that everyone's like, that's giving people that feeling. Like, it's obviously because we're such a big ensemble cast. But it still feels great to be a part of that, and 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 to even be able to like witness that happening, and telling myself, oh, I'm good enough to be on something like this. So that's been fantastic.
That's one of my favorite things about the show is honestly is that because there's so many characters on the series that you have all these different characters that I feel like someone can relate to at least one character on the show,
Exactly.
or more. So like I mean like in your case, in Danny's case, I mean just his love for like acting and like movies and stuff. Obviously, I connect with that on a big level. Like I've been a big movie fan like my whole life, and I'm just obsessed when it comes with like the behind the scenes stories and how everything's works. So I definitely connect, with your character, for sure. But there's a couple people like on the show, and I think it's just one of those series where, because sometimes you only have like, a couple like main characters, but here you have such a big cast. It's really nice
I
to see
know.
all the different characters.
I know. Yeah, there's so many places where people can kind of like pick and choose to relate with. Because yeah, we do just have such a big cast. It's great, and the variety in everyone's story is really really good for a broad audience.
Yep. And it's challenging too. I mean, to do something like that, to write for a show, to have so many characters, to make sure that everyone's
Yeah,
getting
I have
ample
no
screen time.
idea how they're keeping up with everything. There's so much.
Yeah, no, so hats off to the writers for sure, and we can't
Yes,
wait to see what they're gonna cook up for you guys in season two.
I know. I'm excited. I'm really excited.
I also
I'm having a hard time picturing, but I'm sure once I see it, I'll be like, oh yeah, that makes sense.
That makes sense. I also wanted to talk to you about obviously, Aaron and Danny and that, relationship between those characters. We see there's a little spark between the two. So, in your opinion, why is that? Why is there that connection between those two characters?
I think that maybe Aaron sees some things in Danny that she maybe used to see in Cole before he started changing a little bit as well. Like, because Cole and Danny are very, I feel like they're very similar in the way that they navigate life up until recently, when things have changed. I mean, obviously, Cole has had this, he's had this kind of social pressure to live up for so long because so many people are like, oh, he's the guy, he's the football guy, he's the charming guy, you know, like everything like that. So we'll navigate life a little bit differently, but I think we still have those like core elements. I mean, raised by the same parents,
Yeah.
fraternal twins, same age, everything like that. So I think she sees a little bit of that in him. And then I think she also just sees this like genuine, like nice innocence to him almost. He's not very intimidating. He's not like, he just wants the best for people. He doesn't want to impose. He doesn't want to make people feel uncomfortable. I think she probably likes that and how nice he is. I think Danny likes Erin because he understands that like she can be catty at times, you know, but he knows that she's like deep down like a very nice person, and that she's just very affected by things that have happened in her life, similar to how Cole has been affected to the things that have happened to his life. So I think Danny, more than anyone, because of how well he knows Cole, understands where that's coming from Erin. Um, and you know, Erin's really nice. She's pretty. How could he not?
Yeah, yeah, no, exactly. I'm curious, Connor, because you and Alicia knew each other prior to the series, right?
Yeah,
Do you know, and this was just like I was like, putting two together, and like maybe not, maybe it had nothing to do with it, but do you know if like you guys knowing each other, did that have any effect of them like kind of planting the seeds of you guys maybe having, this like connection? Because obviously you guys don't get
I don't.
together in season one, but you don't think so?
I don't think so. I don't think anyone knew that we knew each other
Oh,
because
okay. So just coincidence.
we, yeah, because we had like met. We had met a long time ago, like when we were like 10 or
Okay,
something like that, like in some acting classes that we were taking at the time.
gotcha.
Like that's where we first met. And then like her mom and my mom kind of like connected over the years, and they would talk. I think they still talk as well. But then I would I would see Alisha like occasionally throughout the years. Like I would see her like one time her mom did some headshots for me. So like she was there when I was doing that. And then like I would run into her randomly. But we never really like hung out or anything or spent too much time together. And then I went to go do wardrobe for the first time before we were shooting. And then yeah, I just ran into her at the wardrobe thing. I was like, "Oh, you're in this?"
You're
And
like,
she was
wow,
like,
that's
"Yeah, yeah, I haven't
okay.
seen you in forever." So it was really cool getting to like actually like this time around actually getting to like connect with her a little bit and get to know who she is like as a person, and not like when you're both children, you know. So
Yeah.
it's a lot different. It's been really nice. Alicia's fantastic.
Yeah, just to get to connect with her. Yeah, no, I was just curious. I was like, I wonder if like just because they were like, oh, you guys might have had or they saw just like a chemistry with the characters, but I guess it just like ended
I
up
think it was
working
just
out
a
like a nice
coincidence. Yeah, it just worked out like that.
coincidence. Well, hey, like I mean, there was definitely seeds planted there in season one, so I'm hoping that we, see some more of that, in season two, future seasons. You guys, have great chemistry with each other, so it definitely comes across on the screen.
Yeah, we'll see where that goes.
And speaking of, do you have any ideas as far as for season two, like where you might like to see Danny go, as far as like any relationships or just like doing different things or
I mean, I think Danny should stay his great self, but maybe with a little bit more confidence in himself. Probably that. Um, and maybe, I don't know, buy some new clothes, man. Stop taking George's hand me downs. Something like that. Although, you know, I feel like if I've been spending time in New York
yeah.
with Jackie, I feel like Jackie will kind of show him the ropes maybe a little bit. So
Yep.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
no,
We'll see what happens there.
I definitely think, yeah, being in New York, I think we could see like a slightly still the same guy overall, but I think what you're saying, like the confidence and stuff, I think we could definitely see that a slight difference in him, coming back, after he's been at like Juilliard for a
Yeah,
little bit.
exactly.
Well, hey,
Exactly.
Connor, to wrap things up, is there anything else that you want to say about working on the series, or just like say to the fans, like in general?
Uh, Man, thank you everybody for watching. It's been nuts how how many of you have been watching,
I
how
saw
many
that
edits
post.
there are. Yeah, I know it's over 1 billion minutes watched recently. Um, so many edits as well online, like on TikTok and Instagram, which has been crazy to see how many of those there are. So yeah, thank you everybody for watching. Um, and then what else did you ask me?
Oh, just like yeah, just about working on the show in general, and then like anything.
Oh yeah, it was like one of the best times of my life. I've got to meet so many wonderful people, so many people that I like love dearly, and so many people who I know are gonna like be in my life for like the rest of my life. So it's been amazing. Couldn't have asked for a better thing to work on.
And you'll get to do it again, soon enough, hopefully in the next like, few
Yeah,
years. So, I mean, we'll definitely see it in the next few years. But hey, Connor, thank you so much. It was great talking to you today, just, about the show, just like a little behind the scenes stuff. Like I said, I always appreciate that. And man, you were, congratulations again on season 2, and you're always welcome back on the show in
thank
the
you.
future.
Yeah, of course. I'll come back on when we get that season 2. Hi, I'm Connor Stanhope. I play Danny in My Life with the Walter Boys, and you're watching Pop Culture with Pat.